Welcome back, Primary. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day last week. This week, it's fun to be back with you in singing time. Once again, I wish it were in person. It's so much better when we're all together, so let's keep praying really hard that that can happen soon. So let's start off by doing something that we haven't done in quite a long time, and it's about time that we do it. So let's see what it is. All right, it's time to sing to, can you guess it? Everyone who has a birthday in May. Some of you have celebrated already. Some of you are going to celebrate. But for all of you May birthdays, we have a song for you.
Happy, happy birthday,
Addie and Eleanor,
Kalina and Ann, Rachel and Julia,
Nathaniel, Christian, and Evan.
Happy days will come to you all year. If I had a wish that it would be a happy, happy birthday to you from me.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday, May birthdays. I hope you had a great day, even though it was a quarantine birthday. I know how it goes. I had a quarantine birthday too. But next year, we will be able to celebrate normally, I'm sure. So let's do something else we haven't done in a long time, and that's reviewing one of our articles of faith. And let's do that by singing the fourth article of faith. And so follow along with the words and the music to review the fourth article of faith.
We believe that the first principles and ordinances of the gospel are first, faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, second, repentance, third, baptism by immersion for the remission of sins, fourth, laying on of hands for the gift of the Holy Ghost.
One thing that really alarms me about the story of King Noah is how quickly he and his people fell into sin and unrighteousness. King Noah's father was Zeniff. Zeniff was a good king, and his people were so righteous that God helped them defeat the Lamanite armies twice. It is crazy to think that in just one generation, the people became so wicked that they burned Abinadi, a prophet of God, to death. These scriptures about the difference between King Zeniff and his son King Noah show how important it is to hold to the iron rod. Remember that song? Let's sing it now with a video. The iron rod reminds us that by studying and following the scriptures, we can be safely guided through our life back to our heavenly parents. Our parents here on earth will help us also. Last week we celebrated Mother's Day. I hope you were able to help your mother feel appreciated. Mothers and all women in the church have the divine responsibility to nurture and teach children and youth. The McPhees sing a beautiful song about mothers nurturing their children. Thank you, McPhees. his Son, one of the questions is, how could the Father show the world the pathway we should go? Remember the answer? He sent his Son to walk with men on earth that we may know. Christ is our perfect example of how we should act. Even before Christ was born, prophets foresaw his life and sacrifice and taught the people about him. One of those prophets was Abinadi. Abinadi gave one of the greatest sermons about Christ to King Noah and his priests. None of them believed Abinadi except for Alma, who tried to defend the prophet. When King Noah commanded that Alma be killed, Alma was able to escape. Alma then secretly taught the people about Christ, and many believed him. Alma and his followers showed their faith and dedication to Christ by being baptized in the waters of Mormon. Just as the gospel of Jesus Christ and his sacrifice changed the hearts of Alma and his followers, our hearts can be changed so that we will want to follow the example of Christ as well. Let's sing He Sent His Son. You should see some familiar faces in this next video. Thank you, Carmax. Abinadi and Alma were valiant servants. How were they valiant? They did more than choose the right. They stood for the right by speaking up and defending the gospel of Jesus Christ. Abinadi was killed for being a valiant servant, and Alma had to leave his home and job. We probably will not be asked to sacrifice like Abinadi and Alma, but there will be times when we will need to defend the gospel of Jesus Christ. President Nilsson has asked all youth to be a part of the Battalion of God. During these last days, there is the greatest need ever to have valiant servants. This new song will help us understand what this means. This is a new primary song called I Will Be Valiant. I love this song. I love it for its words, its great melody, and its fun marching beat. It starts off with, "The Lord needs valiant servants." So here we have President Nilsson calling all of the youth to be a part of the Lord's or God's battalion. He calls it the Youth Battalion. In these latter days, we need all of you to be valiant servants. The Lord needs valiant servants. So there we are, first line, one more time. The Lord needs valiant servants. When does he need those servants? And why? To do his work in the latter days. Here you see a bunch of youth working, it looks like, at a bishop's storehouse, packing food for those who need it. Lots of great work and service we can do in these latter days as valiant servants. So the Lord needs valiant servants to do his work in the latter days, to follow the teachings of Jesus. Here you have a girl helping another girl get along. We've talked a lot about service in these chapters of Mosiah, and that's one of the greatest things that a valiant servant, think servant, can do. They can serve. So the Lord needs valiant servants to do his work in the latter days, to follow the teachings of Jesus and serve his people in a loving way. So that explains itself. And serve his people in a loving way. And serve his people in a loving way. Then I will be his servant. That is such an important line of the song. When you make a promise, you make a covenant, you make a commitment that you will be a servant of Jesus Christ. Think about waking up every morning and reminding yourself that today I will be his servant. I will serve Jesus Christ by being an example and choosing the right. I will be his servant. So we talked about how you can be a servant by serving people and loving people. This is another way you can be his servant. I will be his servant and keep my covenants valiantly. Keeping your covenants. I love this picture as this young boy is armed in righteousness. He's strong because he's choosing the right. He's got the Book of Mormon there. When you are baptized, you are making a covenant, a promise that you will follow Jesus Christ. And when you keep those covenants, you are being a valiant servant. And keep his covenants valiantly. Now you're making some more promises here. You'll serve people. You'll keep your covenants. I'll stand for truth. Notice those people standing for truth. They're holding up the Book of Mormon. You know, sometimes being a member of the church is not just choosing the right, it's standing for the right. Just as I talked about before, like what Abinadi and Alma had to do. They had to make some hard decisions to stand for the right. Sometimes it will be hard to stand for the right, but we make that promise when we are a valiant servant. I'll stand for truth. I'll stand for right. And here we have, I'll stand for right. I love this picture of all of these youth holding this picture of Helaman leading the army of Helaman. We, in these latter days, these last days, are an army of Helaman. We are the youth battalion. We stand for the right. We keep our covenants. We serve other people. I'll stand for right. And I'm losing the tune here. The Lord can depend on me. So let's try it from the beginning. The Lord needs valiant servants to do his work in the latter days, to follow the teachings of Jesus, and who serve his people in the loving way. I think I did that wrong. Let me check my words. To work in the latter day, who follow the teaching. And so I know I did it right. Let's try it again. The Lord needs valiant servants to do his work in the latter days, who follow the teachings of Jesus and serve his people in a loving way. Here's that commitment. I will be his servant. How? And keep my covenants valiantly. I'll stand for truth. I'll stand for right. The Lord can depend on me. Isn't that a great song? Let's sing it now with a video where they're singing all the right notes, and you can feel that beat as you can march along as you sing.